editor Oyekomi Olatoye takes a historical look at the force from inception, its challenges, and the task ahead of the newly constituted committee on its reorganization.
From a consular guard with mainly military duties in 1861 to separate southern and northern Nigerian police forces in the 1900s and the present structure in 1930, the Nigerian police force has come a long way. Its transformation over the years from a colonial force to fully indigenous police with civil responsibility appears to be where the difference ends. In fact, its adversarial disposition to the people it's meant to serve in the present is said to be an undying legacy of the colonial days when it was used as a repressive arm of the colonial government to quell and pacify the so-called natives, justifying the prefix force that the Nigerian police have had to carry over the years despite global best practices. That may not be all that is wrong with the police at the moment. The swelling cases of extrajudicial killings and abuses by police personnel have called into question the kind of training they go through at recruitment and afterward. It is on record that many of the personnel are not exposed to further or requisite training apart from the initial training as a cadet. Little wonder then that in the last 4 years, not fewer than over 7,000 Nigerians have been killed by the police, either by accidental discharge or deliberate acts of extermination. Directly related to this is the endemic corruption in which the police is eminent. It is on record that most of the killings are not unrelated to attempts to extort money from their victims. Hard as the police agency has tried to court the friendship of the people through slogans like, "The police is your friend," the public distrust and subdued hatred seems to be unyielding. This, in effect, has impacted negatively on the ability of the police to deploy the instrument of intelligence to fight crime. The public would rather keep mum. The current Boko Haram challenge in the country has brought this to the fore more than any other time. However, the police personnel have often been referred to as men recruited to work under a most daunting situation. With scarce training, demeaning remuneration, adverse condition of service, and non-befitting accommodation, the personnel can only be left to fend for themselves, turning into disgruntled armed men who unleash their frustration on the hapless populace they are meant to protect. Coupled with this is the outmoded firepower, dwindling logistics, lack of operational equipment, and where a personnel is left to buy shoes and uniforms and many more. Also, as long as the average policeman in the street is the least educated and socially disadvantaged in the society, a case of the worst guarding the best, then the diffidence and low self-esteem often displayed by the personnel can only lead to poor policing. The failure of the system could not be more evident than the incessant invitation of the military in ensuring internal security. At the moment, joint military operations dot the length and breadth of the nation, portraying the police as a weak and heavy-handed law enforcement agency in need of rebirth. Yet, while some nations have been seen to do without the military, none has ever been without the police. As the newly constituted Presidential Committee on the Reorganization of the Police Force set about its job in earnest, it must set its heart as one saddled with a renaissance, a midwife of a new being, far from the colonial bequest. Oyekomi Olatoye, STV News.
We're now being joined on